I'm John Terode and you're watching Joburg Today.
Hello, hi, my name is Mpoma Shiko, your Woman Crush Wednesday, bringing you nothing but the freshest news and entertainment in and around your city. The city of Johannesburg recently celebrated its 130-year celebration, and we went to Rent Club, which is one of the iconic buildings linked with the development of the world's greatest goldfield and the emergence of the modern South Africa. Let's go check it out.
It is said that every gentleman needs a space to unwind and relax. The Rand Club, built in 1904, was such a place. Now being one of Joburg's historical buildings, the Rand Club invites every Joburger, including women too, to utilize its phenomenal space. So, Brian, how important is the Rand Club in Johannesburg today?
I think the Rand Club is an important institution. It's important because it's got an incredible history. So the club's been here since 1 year after Johannesburg was founded. So it was established in 1887. Joburg was established in 1886. So it really is a very important part of the history of Johannesburg. And additional to that, obviously, it's this really beautiful building. So I think in a city where we've got a lot of contemporary buildings and slightly questionable contemporary buildings, it's amazing to still have a club that functions in a beautiful clubhouse like the Rand Club.
So let's take a step back, take us way back in time and tell us why the Rand Club was established in the first place.
Where we're sitting now was basically in the middle of the largest gold field in the world. So there was this huge, very wealthy gold field. There were all these mining magnates. A lot of them had come out from England. And in England, there was this idea that a gentleman had to have a club. So your club was like your home away from home. And obviously you're sitting on this dusty gold field and it's kind of a little bit rough and you need a little bit of England that comes back to Joburg with you. So they decided to form a club, and they based the Rand Club on the Reform Club in London, which is this like crazy posh club. If you've watched Around the World in 80 Days, it's the place where Phileas Fogg and all of his friends meet. So Rand Club was based on that Reform Club.
So what is the next step? What's the future plans for Rand Club?
The future plans it's always an interesting question. I think the club has had a slightly tumultuous time in the last sort of 18 to 20 months. It's tried to adapt. I think, if you look prior to 1994, only men were allowed to be members and they'd have to be white, and there's a story that they couldn't be Jewish. It's a much more inclusive club today. So if you look right behind where we're sitting, there's a picture of Nelson Mandela, who was a member of the club. Thabo Mbeki is also a member of the club. And I think there's been quite a concerted drive to try to make the club more inclusive and to try to make it more relevant to a contemporary South Africa. So the hope really is that this will continue as a social club, but it will become a meeting place not just for captains of industry or sort of WASPs, but a meeting place for an interesting strata of contemporary South African society. So, people all the way from the Mandelas or the Mbekis, Tokyo Sekwale is also a member, all the way through to kind of like the old mining families, like the Oppenheimers, and then younger, sort of more interesting young people as well. So there are actually quite a number of young people who've joined the club, and from all sorts of walks of life. So young entrepreneurs, architects, doctors, a couple of people in banking. So it's still a good place to meet new people and to socialize and to do interesting things. So I think the concerted effort, and perhaps it's something that needs to be explored in more detail, is really to try to become more relevant and more exciting and more accessible to young South Africans, and particularly young South Africans from all stratas. So you're not just looking at the traditional white male membership, it's starting to look at young black members as well, and how to appeal to young black members, because obviously to stay relevant in South Africa, you have to appeal to everyone. You can't, and I mean it's really what South Africa is about today, not trying to only reach out to one group of people. So really the concerted effort now is to encourage young black and even female members to join the club. And I think they're quite open to ideas and to finding out what appeals to all sorts of younger people. So the club is, they're very open to ideas of what people would like to see happening in the space and what will draw them into the space. So it's really an open dialogue. And I think that's what makes the future more exciting and more dynamic, is to actually be able to see what people want to do and to do new and exciting things that appeal to them.
1904, I wouldn't have been able to walk here. Do you want to know why? Because I'm at the Rand Club, which was once a gentleman's club only. But today, it is open to everybody. This includes females as well, bringing every Joburger to come right here and utilize this beautiful historic building.
Since 1994, it's been open to female members. Before that, it was it was forbidden. I think women were not allowed in the club unless they were accompanied by a male member. And in fact, the story is that when Princess Elizabeth, who's now Queen Elizabeth, was in South Africa in 1948, when she visited the club, she wasn't allowed up the central staircase. So it's definitely a very different club than what it was at that stage.
Corner Love Day and Fox stands a gentleman's club that invites everyone to come have that piece of cake right here at Rand Club. I'm Lebogang Makutu for Joburg Today.
Hi, I'm Lois Mkize, and you're watching Joburg Today.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at joburgtoday.tv and on Twitter at Joburg Today. Urban planner Tanya Zek and photographer Mark Lewis have teamed up to create Wake Up, This is Joburg, a series of books that tells the stories of 10 ordinary, interesting or odd inhabitants of the city of Johannesburg.
Wake Up, This is Joburg is a brand new series of books celebrating the raw beauty of the City of Gold. Written by urban planner Tanya Zak and photographed by Mark Lewis, this series showcases Joburg dwellers and their unique and remarkable ways of making a living and a life. Today I have Tanya in studio with me to chat to us a bit more about the series. Hi Tanya, how are you?
Hi Tumi, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Can you tell me a bit more about, the whole series?
So Mark Lewis and I are working on a series of 10 photo books, and they celebrate life in Johannesburg, but they follow interesting people doing interesting things in interesting spaces of Johannesburg, and it gives us an opportunity to look at the lives and the livelihoods of those people, but also to look at the space in which that activity happens.
You have a very interesting title for the series, which is Wake Up, This is Joburg. Who is this, particularly directed to? Is it to the people of Joburg or to the city itself? And how did this title come about?
Well, the series is focused on our own curiosity in the city. It tries to uncover things that might not be hidden from all people of Johannesburg, but are hidden from many of the people of Johannesburg, getting under the skin of the stories. And so it's a call to be alert to the reality of the city, and particularly the inner city. And the stories really are about things that we find interesting and that we're curious about, but also stories that work both photographically and in terms of the narrative.
What inspired you to primarily focus on Johannesburg as a city?
I've grown up in Johannesburg, and all of my working life has been in Johannesburg. I love the inner city. I'm fascinated by it. And in around 2009, I had the opportunity to work in the city at the JDA, and in that time, had the opportunity to walk a great deal in the inner city and discovered that it was changing so rapidly and in ways that all of my urban planning training didn't equip me to understand. And really the best way to understand it, or to try to make some sense of what I was seeing in this incredible and rapid transformation, was to look and look and look.
Yeah. So obviously you have different stories in throughout the series. How do you go about choosing the subjects for each book or each story? Is it pre-selected? What exactly inspires you to be like, okay, that's the one we're going for this series?
It's not pre-selected. We trawl the city. There are certain subjects that fascinate me as an urban planner. Informality fascinates me, and so it was fairly obvious to look at one of our subjects is waste pickers, informal recyclers, reclaimers in the city who work incredibly hard to pick waste out of dustbins in the city. Some walk 30 kilometers a day and then walk an incredibly long distance with an incredibly heavy load to the recycling depots. And to understand the life of people and the daily cycle of people undertaking this very productive task in the city, which is entirely unpaid. So it was obvious to follow informality in various forms, and we also look at the informal trading market in Yeovil, which is an incredibly fascinating space. For me, those are the kind of spaces in the city that really make Johannesburg a world-class African city.
Absolutely.
If only we could celebrate what is African about the city.
What do you hope that the series of books will achieve?
I hope it will achieve an increased curiosity for the city and an understanding of the individual people behind that, because I think we so easily generalize. And if it does contribute to that, that would be great. And if people just enjoy the books for the writing and for the photography, that's also fantastic.
In some of your books, you do use the use of other languages. Is there a reason why you've chosen to do this?
That was an innovation that our editor Bronwyn Law-Viljoen came up with, that we translate every book into a language which fits the main protagonist of the book. And that makes the books more accessible. It's also a respect to the protagonist in the story. So our books are translated into various languages. There are books that are in French, in Zulu, in Xhosa, in Portuguese. So yeah, that's the translation is an innovation of Fourth Wall Books.
Very interesting, because it's all about Joburg, and you know what, we have a variety of different cultures. It's a diverse city, within the country that we live in. Tanya, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm definitely getting my hands on the book. Well, guys, you've heard it from Tanya Vuga Guse-Jozi. Wake Up, this is Joburg. Definitely a series of books that you should get your hands on.
Hi, I'm Sophie Ndaba, and you are watching Joburg Today.
For more, do check out our playlist. And that's it from me, Mpoma Sheho, and the rest of the Joburg Today.tv crew. Goodbye.